are 2 days away from UFC 302, and it is time to give the official picks for the entire card, bottom to top. These are gun to your head. The cartel is waterboarding you, saying, give me a pick, and if it's wrong, you're dead. Gun to your head. Who are you going to choose to win? This is the big distinction here, because we're not choosing bets. Betting lines are out the window. Okay, we're not talking about that. These are just strictly winners, and that's a big distinction, because if you're betting, you got to go off value. Sometimes the winner isn't always the value side. But we're going to go through bottom to top and give you every single one of my picks. And we're going to keep track of this. This is going to be a featured video on the channel. Every single card, we're going to start doing this. First fight on the card. Mitch Raposo, Andre Lima. The pick's Andre Lima. It's a no-doubter to me, okay? Because Andre Lima's the better striker. I think he's got solid jiu-jitsu on the ground. Mitch Raposo doesn't do it for me, man. He's beaten cans on the regional scene. I think Andre Lima has a much higher ceiling. He is the betting favorite, but I think that's rightfully so. Give me Andre Lima for the pick. Moving up, we got Eileen Perez, Jocelyn Edwards. Now, I'm kind of looking at Jocelyn Edwards like she could be a decent dog here, but gun to my head, I have to go with Eileen Perez, because Eileen Perez, she got the takedown game. Her wrestling game is actually pretty damn good. And she can go for at least 2 rounds. You know, the third round might get sketchy, but she's solid for 2 rounds. And you only got to win 2 rounds out of 3 in a 3-round bout. That's how you win the fight. And this is women's MMA. You don't see a lot of finishes in women's MMA. And even if they do gas out, sometimes they don't even have the abilities left to finish the fight in the 3rd round. So I'm going Eileen Perez. I think she can get her to the ground at will and on the feet. She's aggressive. Judges love when aggressive women go out there and just throw bombs, okay? It just looks better to the judges. I'll take Eileen Perez for the pick, and we could see a twerk show after. Mickey Gall, Basil Hafez. You know, Mickey Gall, he's not looking bad right now. I just saw a picture of him on IG. Looks in great shape. But man, I don't know if I could take Mickey Gall here, because Mickey Gall doesn't offer much on the feet. And on the ground, I think Basil Hafez should be able to stay safe, fighting off submissions. He's the better wrestler here, and I trust his stand-up just a little bit more. I think he's got some power in his hands. Could find a knockout, but Basil Hafez is the pick. And, you know, you never really loved taking a guy named Basil, but he went life and death with Jack Della, and I would assume, I mean, he's trained with a lot of good guys. You know, Kamaru Usman, he's had a lot of training at Team Elevation. I'll trust him here. I'll take him for the pick. And if I'm wrong, I guess I'm getting shot by the cartel. Phil Rowe, Jake Matthews. I don't trust either guy, to be honest, but I'm going to go with Phil Rowe, because Phil Rowe, he's got the frame. He's got the frame. I think Jake Matthews could box him up a little. I would love to see Phil Rowe just throw a little bit more out there. Sometimes he's a little timid on the feet. Doesn't throw enough volume for me to really love him. But I'll trust him here against Jake Matthews, who time and time again, he just disappoints. And he's been in the UFC a long time. You kind of expect him to come around, come into his own. He just never really has. So I'm going to take Phil Rowe here. I mean, his wins in the UFC are not good, but he has looked good in his wins. He's getting finishes. I like that. I like the upside for the finish here. But Jake Matthews is tough. And I think Phil Rowe could win a decision, or he could find some type of finish. I don't know, man. Like, this is a greasy one. I don't really trust either guy super much. Phil Rowe is the pick, though. Phil Rowe is definitely the pick. We move on. Grant Dawson, Joe Solecki. This one's pretty straightforward to me. 2 grapplers. One of them, not the highest level. The other one, very high level. Now, Joe Solecki, don't get me wrong. He's a solid jiu-jitsu practitioner. But Grant Dawson's got the jiu-jitsu, and he's got an insane wrestling game. And ever since he's moved to ATT, he hasn't really had ATT, or hasn't had cardio problems. You know, that was a big thing earlier in his career when he wasn't at ATT. He would tend to gas out in round 3. And you look at his fights after he moved to ATT, he's getting finishes in the 3rd round. I think he could find a late finish here, round 2 or 3, whether it's a TKO ground and pound or a submission where he gets his back and sinks in a rear naked choke. Give me Grant Dawson all day. Big step down in competition for him. I think he should get a bounce back win here. Jelton Almeida, Alexander Romanov. I hate this fight, but I also love it, because these are 2 guys that just are not trustworthy. Not trustworthy whatsoever. But when you look at Alexander Romanov, you look at that frame, you see all the pudge he's got on him. I can't trust that guy. Jailton Almeida looks like a Greek god. And yes, he is, 20, 30 pounds lighter than most of these heavyweights, but he is strong, he is explosive, and I trust that he's going to shoot until he can't anymore. And sometimes when he shoots one time, that's all it takes. Gets you to the ground once, sinks in a rear naked choke, and that could be wraps. Now, if Romanov gets on top of him, then we're in a real world of trouble. But Jailton Almeida seems to be the more trustworthy guy out of two untrustworthy guys. I'll trust that he goes for the takedown, he gets it, and he can get a dominant position early, maybe get him out of there early, or spark the gas tank of Romanov, because Romanov doesn't have good cardio, and he could just control him for 3 rounds if he needs to. Moving on to the featured prelim. Cesar Almeida, Roman Kopylov. Love this fight. It's an amazing fight. 2 kickboxers. Now, if you watched my early picks video, I went with Roman Kopylov. But after further investigation, I'm going to go Cesar Almeida here. You know, it might be one of these times where you switch your pick and then you look back on it and you're like, damn, why did I switch my pick? But I'm switching it because Cesar Almeida, I think, is a world-class kickboxer. And everything that I've seen on film as far as grappling goes, I think he's good there. I know Roman Kopylov's not going to be shooting takedowns, or at least I don't expect him to. But I think Cesar Almeida could maybe go out there and just muscle him up. Now, Roman Kopylov, to me, has never really looked like a grinded-out type of guy. You look at his wins, they're really not against good competition. Like, he's knocking out guys that he should knock out, like low level. And every time one time that he got to step up in competition against Hernandez, I think that was a terrible matchup for Kopylov. But he got drowned, and I think Cesar Almeida, being the world-class kickboxer that he is, I think he can go out there and have success. And later in the fight, maybe if Kopylov is not having the success that he'd like to, maybe break him late. And as we've seen earlier in his career with Kopylov, once you tend to get it on him, he doesn't exactly have that little grit you got in him. You know, I think this is the time for Cesar Almeida. He's 36. It's do or die at this point. Give me Cesar Almeida. Takes us to the main card. Randy Rude Boy Brown and Alizu Zaleski dos Santos. Really tempted to take a dog shot here on Dos Santos, but if you look at his wins, his last 2 wins at least, Nurmagomedov wants to shoot takedowns. Fakhretdinov wants to shoot takedowns. Randy Brown ain't going to be shooting takedowns here. I think Dos Santos was able to have a lot of success in some of those fights because he can defend the takedowns, and then he can go from there, and he's usually the better striker than these wrestlers he's going up against. I think Randy is a clean, long striker. He can use his jab, stay at range, use his kicks to stay at range. Just be clean, go out there, don't get hit by anything crazy. He's the younger fighter, more in his prime. And I think Dos Santos has been in so many wars. And early in that Fakhretdinov fight, he was damn near out of there. I think there's a possibility Randy Rude Boy Brown could get a finish here. But I'm going to take him for the pick. I think it's a solid matchup for him. Takes us to the fight that got moved onto the main card. Nico Price, Alex Morono. Now, I'm assuming they moved this fight to the main card because they expect it to be some type of war, right? Nico Price, old as hell. Old as hell. He's really not that old, but he looks old as hell. It looks like somebody took his knees out like 3 years ago, and he's still trying to fight with no knees. Those knee sleeves, always hate to see those. And then he just got knocked out by Robbie Lawler. Bad look. Really bad look. He could make this a dogfight and somehow pull off a victory, but I'm going to trust that Alex Morono doesn't fall into some type of brawl. He could, and he could end up winning that brawl, but I'm going to trust that he doesn't. He's a little bit more technical. Sometimes he looks a little wild, okay? Not the most aesthetic figure from Alex Morono, but I trust his experience. I trust his ground game, too. I think he's got a really nasty ground game if the fight does hit there. And on the feet, I think he can do some damage to Nico Price, who has shown that he doesn't really take the damage too well at this point in his career. So Alex Morono is the pick. Feature bout, Kevin Holland, Michal Oleksiejczuk. Now, Oleksiejczuk is really getting counted out here. And a lot of that is due to his last loss to Michel Pereira. Now that loss kind of ages pretty well because Michel Pereira looks like a damn stud at 185. Kevin Holland moved back up to middleweight. I think this is a good fight for him. I know a lot of people are on Kevin Holland like a lock this week, and I could see it. But you never know what Kevin Holland's going to bring to that cage. Now, he's been talking like he's just going to make slight work with Oleksiejczuk, and maybe that comes back to bite him, or maybe he just sees something where this should be a walk in the park. Realistically, I think skill for skill should be a walk in the park. I think he's very solid on the feet. Kevin Holland is. I think he can handle everything that Oleksiejczuk's going to throw at him. Holland's got a great chin. And, of course, grappling upside for Holland is massive in this fight because Oleksiejczuk's been subbed like 5 times in his career. Out of like his 7 losses, he's been subbed 5 times. Kevin Holland, just go for the sub. And that can make an easy night for you. Get 2 paychecks. Maybe you get a finish bonus. Just make it easy, Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland is the pick. We move on. Co-main event. Sean Strickland, Paulo Costa. I've gone back and forth here, okay, because I see the betting lines. You see it on the screen there. Paulo Costa is a pretty big dog here. And I'm one that says Paulo Costa is very overrated. But I think this is a winnable matchup for him. I think he can land the more impactful strikes. He could do a lot of damage to Sean Strickland. He's very explosive. And I think his forward pressure could do or give Sean Strickland some problems here. But at the same time, this is a pick. Okay, who do I think is going to win the fight? Gun to my head. If you lose, you're getting shot. I'm going to ride with Sean Strickland. Okay, because Sean Strickland he's durable. His defense is very good. And he's got cardio and volume for days. Okay, if there's somebody that I want to pick in this fight, it's going to be Sean Strickland. Betting is a little bit different. I don't know if I'm going to place a bet on Paulo Costa or not. I doubt it. Just because I respect Sean Strickland so much, and Costa just really hasn't done much as of the last 4 years to really want me to take a shot on him. Sean Strickland's the pick. I do think it probably goes to a decision, but I did see Paulo Costa's got staff. So maybe that gas tank gets shot like a BSD, and Sean Strickland's able to find a finish, later in the fight and just kind of drown him with his pressure. But Sean Strickland's the pick. Brings us to the main event. Now, if you've been watching this channel, I've had a lot of confidence in Dustin Poirier. But that confidence is under the precedent that this fight takes place on the feet, right? I think Dustin Poirier can have a lot of success on the feet with the leg kick, the boxing. And I don't think Islam is going to have a lot of weapons to go at Dustin Poirier on the feet. But none of that matters because Islam shoots that takedown and he's in the driver's seat. And all he's got to do is pick a single leg. That's all it comes down to. And that's why he's a massive favorite here. So, I can't really trust Dustin Poirier's takedown defense nor his, submission defense, or at least the ability to get back to his feet and stay there, right? And I think Islam's gas tank is good enough for 3 rounds at least. Maybe if it gets into the 4th and the 5th, he starts to slow down and Poirier can have success there. I trust Dustin's gas tank. For 5 rounds, if he's going to be grappling for the first 15 minutes, then it gets a little bit tough. But, this is a pick, man. This is a pick. This isn't a bet. This is a gun to your head. Who are you going to pick? You're putting your life on the line. Who are you going to pick? It's Islam Makhachev, bro. There's no way you can go anywhere else. You're not going to put your life in the hands of Dustin Poirier to beat Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev is the pick. I do believe he should win. But everyone wants to see Dustin Poirier win, right? At the end of the day, that's what we want. We want DP to get the belt, to have the storybook ending. But sometimes in MMA, most times in MMA, that just doesn't happen. Islam Makhachev is the pick. I did see he got staff. He's got some staff on his legs, so 2 fighters in the main and the co-main event both have staff. We'll see how that plays out. But Islam Makhachev is the pick nonetheless. I don't see that he rolls through Dustin Poirier early. I just don't see it. I think Poirier is he's had so much experience against these guys. I think if the finish does come for Makhachev, it's going to be like round 3 or round 4. It's going to be minutes on the top, doing some damage, making Dustin work, and eventually Dustin just makes that slight mistake that Islam can capitalize on. But I don't see it happening early. I see it happening like round 3 or 4. Islam Makhachev is the pick. Appreciate you for watching. We're going to keep track of these because this is going to be a featured thing on the channel. So we're going to keep track of them. Picks, again, they're picks. If you want all my bets, jump in the Homofied Picks Discord. The link is down in the description. And let me know in the comments. I'm thinking about dropping a best bets video here. If you're interested, let me know in the comments because I'd love to do it. And hopefully we can hit those. So appreciate y'all for watching. Till next time, Hey Job Picks. We out.